rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
You're talking about it, and so are we. It's What's Trending on BYU Sports Nation.
What's different this time around for BYU football as they now host the 9th-ranked Baylor Bears in Provo, Utah? BYU ran into a buzzsaw in Waco last year. A late touchdown made the final score a little bit more respectable, but let's face it, BYU got run over by the Baylor Bears, Jarom Smith, and that huge offensive line.
He became Abraham in that game.
The Cougars are now, depending on which expert you talk to and which line you look at, somewhere between a 3.5 and 4.5 point favorite, Jarom.
Wow.
This is very interesting because they are ranked 12 spots lower than Baylor. Yes, the game is in Provo, but the defending Big 12 champs are coming to town. So that got us thinking, okay, what is so different about this year other than location for BYU and Baylor that the Cougars are now a 4.5 point favorite after losing by 14 on the road last year? Let's discuss, Jarom. What will be different this year in the BYU-Baylor game?
3 things, Spence, maybe 4. 1, BYU will be able to run the ball better. The Cougars only ran for 67 yards total last year. Most of that came on Jaron Hall's 4th down touchdown run.
Yeah, weird. With Tyler Allgeier's game, like his worst game.
With Tyler Allgeier on the team in a record-setting season. I believe BYU goes for 150 plus. I do. I think the O-line has improved. I really like BYU's diversity of attack with Chris Brooks and Lopini Katoa. I think we'll see Jaron Hall in the run game a little more than we saw last week. That's number 1. Number 2, BYU won't be playing from behind most of the game. The Cougars had a lead in this game last year, but after that had to throw the ball quite a bit. It changes play calling, and Baylor ran 20 more plays than BYU. The Cougars could not get off the field. I believe they'll be just fine in that regard. Number 3, Dylan Doyle, linebacker for Baylor, will not have a record-setting game like he had last year, which was a linebacker having a receiving, rushing, TD, and a sack in the same game.
That was wild.
First time in Baylor history. That will not happen. And 4, I believe BYU will win the game. I think this will be one of the all-time wins in BYU history in terms of beating in top 10. I think BYU wins this game. I think it's close. As I tweeted out yesterday after our conversation after the show, because we have that, the show continues, just not on the air, that BYU will win the game. And if they do, it's by 1 score. All 5 top 10 wins have been by 1 score. Okay, so this will happen. Those are the 4 differences to me.
All right. I'm going to throw out the fact that, yes, obviously the location is different. The atmosphere is going to be very, very different for BYU in the late game. And some people say it doesn't matter when you play. If you're a better team, you just show up and you play. I think it does matter. I think a night game in LaVell Edwards Stadium and a season opener is an advantage for BYU, significant advantage. I don't know how much.
Significant.
Hard to quantify in points, but I'd probably give BYU like a 3 or 4 point edge just based on the fact that it's late. It's the home opener under the lights at LaVell Edwards Stadium. Okay? So that alone will make things at least a little bit different for BYU. I'm with you. I feel like the offensive line for BYU will get a much better push against a good Baylor defensive front. I mean, Baylor brings back a ton of guys. They're very capable. I think BYU's offensive line is better than they were last year, and they'll feed off of the emotion of the crowd. And BYU is not going to have a scenario where the lead back rushes for 34 yards on 15 carries. Like, that's not going to happen. That's how tough it was for Tyler Allgeier last year. He was averaging essentially 2 yards a carry. Like, when did that ever happen in Tyler Allgeier's career? It didn't.
Very rare.
That will be very different. Whether it's Lopini Katoa, it's Chris Brooks, BYU will have a much more impactful scenario with the running game. And here's why. Because I think they're so focused on Puka Nacua. Clearly. They're talking about him specifically. Number 12, Jaron Hall threw it up to him. He can catch it. We got something for that. Okay, if they're going to drop a little bit more pass coverage down, then there are going to be more opportunities for BYU to run the ball. So that's why, coupled with BYU's offensive line being better and Baylor now focused so much, which is why I think Puka Nacua is going to play. He's going to play. Even if BYU, if he's not 100%, he can be used as a very significant decoy.
Absolutely.
To distract Baylor. So I feel like that will certainly be different and open up the rush game. Also, BYU is not going to give up over 300 yards rushing on the defensive front. That's not going to happen. Jarom Smith is not walking through the door for Baylor, nor any running back or scenario capable of making that happen on the road.
Treston Ebner was tremendous as well.
Great player.
Yeah, he got drafted. Another one of their running
backs. Great player.
Jarom Smith didn't even get drafted. Yeah, here's the thing that's different for Baylor as well that we should mention. Blake Shapen is a better quarterback than Gary Bohannon.
Yes.
and he is efficient. This guy was the #1 shortstop prospect coming out of Louisiana, had committed to Arizona State to play football, decommitted, goes to Baylor. They put him in at the end of the year when they played some huge games against like Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Big 12 championship game notably, Sugar Bowl notably. So he's a good player. That is a difference too, is Gary Bohannon didn't have to beat BYU last year, and he didn't last week either at South Florida. Shapen changes what they can do on offense a little bit more. So that is one thing I am very and keenly aware of, but I really like where the secondary is at. I think BYU's ready for this moment because last year's team was tremendous, fizzled out in the bowl game, unfortunately, didn't really pop in the preseason polls. This is a chance to really show on ESPN, late night game, top 10 opponent.
Yeah.
BYU has a chance in this game to cement its legacy as a team early in the season. There's a lot of football to be played to elevate or de-escalate right from that moment. But if BYU wins this game, it's just the 6th top 10 game you've ever won.
Wild.
And it's the home opener. And it's the only Big 12 game the year before. And it's after last year getting run over by Baylor. So I think this team has circled this mentally, whether they'll say it out loud or not, and that they will be ready and that they will play well. Listen, this is going to be, there's going to be Utah, Arizona State, and even USC 2019 vibes here. What I mean by that is don't look at the box score and assume that everything needs to be clean and easy and nice for BYU to win. This is going to be a game where BYU may not throw for 250. They may not rush for 200 or whatever. It's going to be a take care of the ball game, get some hard, dirty yards late in the game when it's physical and weird, and just win. Like, I do not care most games how BYU wins, and this is one of those. Like last week, it was like, you got to win, I think, convincingly to really feel good about the win, the game. South Florida, you're an 11.5-point favorite. This game, just win, baby, because it's a top 10 team. They are the Big 12 champs. They are the preseason pick to win. They beat you up last year. Defend Lavelle Edwards Stadium.
All right, Jarom, listen to this. Okay, Blake Shapen, has he played in an environment like Lavelle Edwards Stadium? Not even close.
No, Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl, certainly more of a challenge, but not like this.
Great.
Not a true road.
Neutral game. Okay.
More of a challenge compared to
big game for sure.
Kansas
Big game
State
for sure, but not a hostile road environment.
Yeah.
He's played at Kansas State. Kansas State, Manhattan is not Provo. Home opener, 2 ranked teams in Provo with 63,000 plus going bonkers.
Man, it's not even the best Manhattan. You know what I'm saying?
This is his first true
Little Manhattan
road test.
Yep. Okay.
We'll see how he shapes up.
See what you did there, Anchor
jokes.
boy. Anchor dead. Topic 2, Brett Yormark, new Big 12 commissioner, continues his tour day new Big 12. They visit to Provo Saturday. Check him out on BYUSN Game Day, by the way.
Yes.
Starting at 8 Eastern. He was at Cincinnati recently and asked about conference expansion, what schools would be good additions. He said this, well, I don't want to get into specifics, and I appreciate the question, but obviously going out west is where I would like to go. Entering that 4th time zone, program that has national recognition, one that competes at the highest level in basketball and football, stands for the right things, is a good cultural fit, because our alignment right now and the like-mindedness of all of our member institutions is fantastic. It's never been better, so I don't want to compromise that, and it's critically important that there's the right cultural fit when you think about coming in and being part of what we're building here, end quote. Brett Yormark.
Okay.
I just like him. What school do you think he's talking about?
That naturally was the first question I asked. Okay, I'm reading this. I'm like, okay, he clearly has a school, maybe 2 in mind, like available Power 5 level. Like
yes. And why is it not Utah?
The options are very small. Not on the West Coast. Like Utah doesn't open up that 4th time zone.
I'm just trying to bring Utah in.
Right?
Yeah.
Utah doesn't open the 4th time zone.
Correct.
So clearly he's thinking about a West Coast school. Oregon is the first one that floats to the top.
First one that came to my mind.
Good in football and basketball.
Yep.
Okay. Nice
you
tradition.
You like Blue Mountain basketball last year.
Cultural fit. Okay. So Oregon, to me, is the school that he is explaining. And then depending on what time of year it is, because Arizona has their own time zone scenario. Right? So sometimes
the Arizona show?
Sometimes Arizona is like an hour behind with Pacific time.
My mom lives in Arizona. I never know what time it is.
Yeah, it's weird.
I have no idea if it's the same time as Mountain.
They don't have daylight savings, so maybe Arizona has it right.
They also have weird paper size. That's another thing.
Okay, conversation for another day. Does Arizona have it right and the rest of the United States doesn't with time zones? Maybe he's talking about the Arizona schools, assuming that they're
He said football and basketball.
That's true. Is Arizona State doesn't really qualify for that either.
No.
It's Oregon. I want to say Stanford, but is Stanford the right cultural fit for the Big 12?
No, that's a very different political mindset.
It's Oregon, and depending on what time of day it is in Arizona, maybe the Arizona schools.
Well, and Oregon, Portland is liberal. The rest of the state is not. So that's interesting. Washington could come to mind as well, a team that competes well. But I think it's clearly Oregon, which he was talking about. Oregon is eyeing the Big Ten for obvious reasons. And so is Washington, trying to hitch their wagon to Oregon. Yeah. It's interesting. He's being very aggressive. This is a businessman who has entered the college sports game at a higher level now as commissioner of the Big 12. And this is our guy, man. Listen, BYU hasn't always felt like the commish was their guy. They felt like Carl Benson was their guy. They did not feel like Craig Thompson was their guy in the Mountain West. And here comes Brett Yormark, just guns a-blazing.
Open for business.
Right? So we'll see what this means if BYU actually, the Big 12 actually expands or not. But I thought this would kind of like go away, but he was asked, so he answered. He didn't just bring it up.
Yeah.
So we'll see where we go. I thought once we got into season, it'd just be like tabled till later. No. The playoff expanded in season now between week 0 and 1. We're still having this conversation. This is a big deal. He's on the forefront of this, which is what I want as a now fan of the Big 12, of, okay, if there's going to be a move made, it's not going to be for a lack of aggression or preparation or foresight on behalf of the league.
Intriguing stuff developing, as we said earlier. Brett Yormark and the Big 12 are open for business.
Puddles, come hang out, man.
I can hear a San Diego State fan saying, what about San Diego State? No. Our question of the day.
And why do they sound like they're a 13-year-old kid?
I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to use Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to answer that.
Even if I knew the answer, I'm not telling you.
Our question.